though I guess the purpose here is to honor my dad who passed in November. Also, I think what's really important is the ability of this much family to come together. And the biggest barrier to relationships is geography. And the Hampson family clan is scattered all over the place. California, Nevada, Wisconsin, etc. is all over the place. So this is a sad and a good time for everybody to get together. I don't have any formal remarks. However, I do have a few comments. One is I did go to the Red Sox-Yankees game last night.
That's right.
Okay, and so I have been to quite a few Red Sox games. This is the first time I went to one with the Yankees. And yes, it was a great game. 10 innings, right? And when I got to the stadium, I thought, okay, why are all the Red Sox wearing green? Okay, I was like, what the heck, right? Yeah, and so I talked to the guy next to me. He goes, oh, it's it's the Green Monster, blah blah, reverence, for the Green Monster type thing. And so a fitting aim to the game in the 10th inning is there was a guy in second, and the batter hit the Green Monster, okay, which is a ground rule double and game over. It was a very fitting aim to the end of the game, and it gave me a lot of appreciation of how much the Yankees are hated. It was very remarkable. So I'll share a few memories about my dad, but also for people who don't know, this is Justin. We've been together 18 years. We're married in 2013, so he's kind of part of the family. Also, there is another Hampson that nobody knows about unless you're on the text screen. That's my son, Riley. It's not a biological connection, but he changed his name to Riley Knight Hampson. So there's another Hampson. He's not a blood relative, but I brought a bunch of pictures. My dad, I should have brought more because my mom's got a billion of them and I forgot it. As many as I could. We'll lay them out at Gail's place. I also brought the genealogy book that my dad put together from Skyland, me and Scott, back to the caveman era. It's kind of interesting. It's pretty thick. It's a lot. It's very interesting. So some of the memories of my dad. Some of them are just snippets because I'm rather old. I remember him holding me with one hand and touching the ceiling with me, so I got a bit for you to be able. He's pretty strong, so maybe. I remember them pouring the foundation of Gardner Road with Mike. How I could remember that, I really don't know. Maybe I imagine it. And there is, Dad was a big-time Marine. This is his jacket. So he asked me to take it before he passed. He asked to have his ashes scattered at the family plots. This is kind of why everybody's here. Big-time Marine, very proud of his service as a veteran. I will say that the VA in California really took care of him. They really did. And toward the end, when he went into hospice, and Scott can attest to it, they really care. They really care for the veterans and their families. They really take care of you, and they really made the passing much easier. And everybody knows my dad was a tough guy. Lived to 93, and toward the end, there's no pain in it, anything like that. Went 5 days without food and water, and just hung on like you would not believe. But he was a tough guy. Loved him very much. I would say as a boy, Scott, Dad was the the disciplinarian. That's just kind of works, right? Mom would do as much as she could to control the boys. And then when it got to be too bad, she goes, "You wait till your father gets home," right? And it was like, oh, gee, it's like, okay, Mom, we'll do it. And later when I was an adult, he told me that I really didn't like that. He said, "I don't want to be the bad guy. You really don't, but boys are hard to control sometimes, and you do what you got to do." Let's see. There's a few other memories. Interesting memories is there is a event at Fenway Park called Fantasy Days. Anybody know what that is?
Yeah.
Which is a March of Dimes thing, right? And so, as a Father's Day gift, I don't know what year it was, too long ago. I bought my dad into the event. The event is you get to go into the locker room, you get a private tour, and then you get to hit in Fenway Park. They have a machine that regulates speed and all that kind of stuff. And I said, "Dad, you practice a little bit because you haven't had to hit a ball in 70 years-ish, something like that." I can't remember how old he was. But you did it. Hit the ball. If you hit a home run, the team will donate $5,000 to Marsh Dimes. That was one memory. Another memory is once I can't remember what it was. He called me up. He was 75. He goes, "I want to do a father-son bike trip in Ireland. Can you arrange that?" I said, "Okay." I said, "Dad, you're 75, okay? Are you really sure you want to do that?" "Yeah, I want to go to Ireland. I want to do it with you." I said, "Okay, do you have a bike?" He goes, "I've got one somewhere in the basement or something." I said, "Well, okay." I said, "Take that thing out and start training because, these bike trips usually go 10, 20 miles a day depending on the abilities." And he did it. And we did do a father-son trip in Ireland. It was with a random group of 16 people from the U.S. It was a very fun time, and he did it. And I just stayed with him the entire time. It's fantastic. So, also, my parents were big travelers, and they did it the smart way. They didn't wait till it was too late. Okay, so they went all over the place while they were in their 60s or so, and all over the place. I helped facilitate some of those trips. I sent them on a 40-day around-the-world trip in 1998. So they went from Bella Vista, Arkansas to Las Vegas. There's some prescience there. To Hollywood, Hawaii, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bali, New Zealand. Oh, and they stopped at the Philippines. I was working in the Philippines, and I took them to Corregidor. Okay, tour of Corregidor. Singapore, Bali. I met them in Bali, and then I flew them to New Zealand and rented them an RV for a week, and then on the South Island. So let's see, New Zealand to Cairo, and we did a Nile trip thing, and then I think either Germany or London, and then back to the U.S. So they got to see quite a bit of the world. They had a very full, happy life. My mom is still alive. She's 91. She's quite frail and delicate. So this is why she's not here. She can't travel. She's in a very nice assisted living place in Palo Alto, California. Scott is like 15 minutes away or so, and he's there every week. And Barb is there quite frequently also. And so, when you're in assisted living by yourself, the best thing to keep you going is visits. Otherwise, it's a little quiet. So, and I go up there every couple of months. I'll tell you an unrelated mother story. So she lent me a book because of some of these flights that I could read. having their library. And she goes, I want you to make sure you bring that book and give it to Scott so I can get it back in the library. Okay. Now, 2 months before that, I was visiting her, and she had 3 books from the library being the assisted living-based library. Okay. And I was talking with her, and she picked up these 3 books and she threw them out. I said, Mom, aren't those from the library? Well, I don't like that, so I'm going to get rid of them. So, a little contrast on her values of books. Anyway, so I think that's about all, and Scott's going to do a little talk. And now I bought and brought 26 flags, okay? There may be enough for everybody, and you can just, when we're done talking and doing whatever we want, then we can place the flag. There's 2 Marine flags also from me and Scott to place. So everybody can have a little bit of participation, and we'll probably have to remove them or the cemetery will be pissed off at us. They already are, but so I'll turn it over to Scott. I don't know if you have any comments
Yeah,
you
no,
want to.
Rod, you covered it very well, and I just wanted to say something. I mean, look at everybody around here. And I said, this is all actually thanks to my dad's father being kind of a man about town. We have all these people here at the ceremony today. And we grew up in Marblehead. That's my earliest and fondest memory. All the places we lived, when we moved away from Marblehead, it was the hardest ever. It's such a beautiful place to live, and there's so many different family being right here. And of course we moved to various places, but I would just say all through our lives, my father was always there taking care of us. And I feel blessed to have my parents, both of them, alive for 68 years, right? Not a lot of people can say that. And my mother and father being married for 70 years as of last August. So, so that's why it's so hard for my mother to, she's alone now after being with somebody and very dependent on for all that time. And now she's adjusting like you're saying. And I think there's probably a lot of people in this gathering that can come up with a memory of how my father touched their lives in some way. I know that when we were living in Marblehead, he was there for a lot of people. And touched them in different ways. And he was always taking care of his parents. And I remember, not to get all melancholy, but when his parents passed, I remember him standing here saying what we're saying about his mother and father. And it's just kind of gets me a bit sentimental. But anyway, all I can say is I'll really miss him. And I know he's moving on to hopefully a better and more beautiful place. And that's about it.
Anybody else want to have a memory?
I'd like to share.
Sure.